I myself, J.P.N. working as an assistant professor in optometry, discipline in the Department of Faculty of Physiotherapy and Diagnostic. Today I want to discuss the topic Sclera, anatomy of Sclera for the students of second SEM BSc Optometry. What is Sclera? The Sclera is the forms the posterior opaque 5-9 part of the external fibrous tunic of the eyeball. Its whole outer surface is covered by Canals capsule and also by the bulbar conjunctiva in the anterior part. Its inner surface lies in contact with the choroid and with the potential suprachoroidal space in between. Sclera is thickest posteriorly and gradually becomes thin when traced anteriorly. Then, firstly the cornea came, then the limbus, and then the sclera. The junction of cornea and sclera is limbus. Okay. Now, what we say is special regions of sclera. Sclera sulcus is an indenting furrow on the inner surface of the anterior-most point of the sclera near the limbus. Sclera spur. It is the circular flank of the anterior-most part of the sclera which lies deep in the Schlemm's canal. It appears wedge-shaped in section. Special regions of sclera. What are the special regions? The lamina tuberosa, scleral apertures. Sclera has 3 sets of aperture: posterior, medial, and anterior. 3 apertures are there, and lamina tuberosa is a sieve-like sclera from which the fibers of the optic nerve passes. It is in the behind, posteriorly to the eye. And posterior aperture is situated in the optic nerve. Medial aperture is situated near the posterior to the equator, and anterior is situated away from the limbus. Then microscopic structure you will study in the further videos. In this you have to study about the sclera anatomy. So episcleral tissues. That episcleral tissue, it is the tissue, but it is the layer of sclera. It is thin, dense, vascularized layer of the connective tissue which covers the sclera proper. Sclera proper is the layer of the sclera. Anteriorly, it becomes continuous with the Canals capsule. Sclera proper is an avascular structure which consists of dense bundles of collagen fibers crossing each other in all directions. This arrangement makes the sclera opaque in contrast to cornea. Mucoplasma saccharides are present in the interfibrillar space of the collagen fibers. Few fibroblasts are present in this layer. In this layer, here you can see the few fibroblasts. These are present in this layer. Which layer? Sclera proper. Lamina fusca. Lamina fusca, it is a innermost part of the sclera which blends with the suprachoroidal and supraciliary lamina of the uveal tract. It is a brownish in color owing to the presence of pigment cells. Then, what is the blood supply of the sclera? You should know about the blood supply of sclera also. The episclera receives Its blood supply from the anterior ciliary arteries anterior to the insertion of the rectus muscle and the long and short posterior ciliary arteries. There are ciliary arteries in the ciliary muscle which provide nutrition to the ciliary muscles. So these are also attached with this sclera is also attached with the ciliary arteries. These ciliary arteries give nutrition to the blood supply, nutrition and blood supply to the sclera. Okay. Now, what is the nerve supply of the sclera? Nerve supply of sclera by branching from the long ciliary nerve anterior and short ciliary nerve behind the equator. Now, what is the importance, or we can say what is the scleral anatomy and different things in the sclera? Anteriorly, it begins at the limbus and ends across the eye. Okay. Now, the term sclera is derived from the Greek word scleros, meaning hard. Sclera is the hardest muscle in our hardest layer in our eye. It is opaque, elastic, and tissuate layer of the eye. It can be not difficult to compared with an incomplete shell comprising approximately 90% of the outer layer of the eye. Anteriorly, it begins at the limbus and terminates at the optic nerve canal posteriorly. Okay. The primary function of the sclera is to protect the eye and maintain the shape of the eye. Amazing fact about the sclera: human beings are the only primates with wide sclera. Embryologically, like corneal stroma and endothelial endothelium, sclera originate from mesoderm. The human sclera is white in color. This white appearance because of the scattering of all wavelengths of light by dense irregular bundles of collagen in our sclera. In children, we can see the color of the sclera is somewhat bluish tint. So the visibility of underlying choroid in older age, the sclera may appear slightly yellowish because of the deposition of the fat in adults. Okay, or we can see in old age. Thickness of the sclera is in male, it is more thicker than in the females. Human sclera is the thickest near the optic nerve. They are approximately 1 mm in thickness and thinnest at the insertion of extraocular muscle, that is 0.3 mm. Okay. Now the sclera gradually thickens towards cornea, and that limbus, the thickness, the sclera is 0.83. Okay, now the structures, or we can say the layers of sclera, that is the episcleral tissues you have studied just now. Episcleral first, then sclera proper and lamina fusca. These are the layers of sclera. Sclera aperture, there are 3 aperture: posterior, then posterior, after that medial, middle sclera aperture, and then the sulcus. Okay, outer anterior sclera. Okay, scleral sulcus and scleral spur. What is that? Scleral sulcus and spur are you will study these in the anterior chambers anatomy. And sclerocorneal junction or limbus, what is that? From where it is a limbus, where limbus is a structure where the cornea and the sclera meets. This is the junction of sclera and cornea, that's why it's known as sclerocorneal junction. Canal of Schrumpf you will read in the anterior chamber. Then lamina tuberosa. It is a thin sieve-like structure near the optic nerve where the optic nerve passes through it. Okay. Blood supply, you have understand about the blood supply and the nerve supply also. Sclera is alternatively avascular structure except for some vessels that passes through the emissary canal. Okay. Now you will study about the sclera vascularity. The low vascularity of sclera can be explained with low metabolic demand of the tissues cause of the low turnover rate of its collagen and cells. Sclera's blood supply is through the episclera receives its blood supply from the anterior ciliary arteries anterior to the insertions of the rectus muscles and the long and short posterior ciliary arteries. The sclera stroma is relatively avascular and receives its nutrition mainly from episcleral vascular bed and to some extent from the underlying choroidal vasculars. The sclera contains numerous channels and passages through which the arteries, veins and nerves pass. These channels or passages are known as the essentially canals. Each rectus muscle has two anterior ciliary arteries with exception of lateral rectus muscle which has only one anterior ciliary artery. Now the other posterior aperture sclera is pierced by 8 to 20 short posterior ciliary arteries. Its inner ring. They are often accompanied by short ciliary nerves little anterior to these. Long posterior ciliary arteries and nerves also enter the eyeball by precising sclera. So, have you all understand the sclera? Sclera is a easy and short topic, short anatomy, and about sclera you can study in your book also from A.K. Purana. And by reading this, you will be able to understand the disease of sclera very easily, and you will be easily understand all the layers. There are 3 layers only in the sclera. These layers are episclera, second one is sclera proper, and third one is lumina fusca. You will study and look at. So see this lecture online and have understood and if any query then come in the comment box. Till I will be uploading my next video as soon as possible. Till that, have a nice day, have a great day, all the best, study well with full concentration.